And after the morning bell chant, we will observe helpful silence. Yeah. Thank you. May the sound of this bell penetrate deep into the cosmos. Even in the darkest spots, living beings are able to hear it clearly, so that all suffering in them ceases. Understanding comes to their heart, and they transcend the path of sorrow and death. The universal Dharma door is already open. The sound of the rising tide is heard clearly. The miracle happens. The beautiful child appears in the heart of the lotus flower. One single drop of this compassionate water is enough to bring back the refreshing spring to our mountains and rivers. Listening to the bell, I feel the afflictions in me beginning to dissolve. My mind is calm, my body is relaxed. A smile is born on my lips. Following the sound of the bell, my breath brings me back to the safe island of mindfulness. In the garden of my heart, the flowers of peace bloom beautifully.
like to invite the incense lighters to please come forward. Inside the cover of your chant book is the incense offering. And as soon as the incense lighters get in place, we'll start that chant. Okay. And I'll speak up so you can hear me. In gratitude, we offer this incense throughout space and time to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May it be fragrant as earth herself, reflecting careful efforts, wholehearted awareness, and the fruit of understanding, slowly ripening. May we and all beings be companions of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May we awaken from forgetfulness and realize our true home. Morning. I'm going to start today's service with some courtesy announcements. If you have families with children, I don't see many families with children here today, but we do have space downstairs, and there's waters available downstairs if your child becomes restless. Please don't walk directly in front of the dais. If you need to use the restrooms, which are through that curtain there, just go around the back aisle there. And during our chanting, we're trying to chant upbeat, cheerful chanting. I guess that's the best way to describe it. Be aware of the voices around you and try and match their pace and volume. Thank you. So to start our service, I invite everyone to stand up and silently greet each other. And if you open your chant books to page 7, we will start with the 3 refuges. Go for refuge to Buddha, my deeply awakened mind, the living source of understanding and passion, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to Dharma, the path of mindful living, leading to healing, joy, and enlightenment, the way of peace, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to the Sangha, the loving and supportive community of practice, realizing harmony, awareness, and liberation, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I am aware that the 3 jewels are within my heart. I vow to realize them. I vow to understand living beings and their suffering. I vow to cultivate loving kindness and compassion, and to practice joy and equanimity. I vow to live simply and sanely, content with few possessions, and to keep my body healthy. I vow to let go of all worry and anxiety in order to be light and free. I am aware that I owe so much to my parents, teachers, friends, and all beings. I vow to be worthy of their trust, to practice wholeheartedly, so that understanding and compassion will flower, and I can help living beings be free from their suffering. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. And if you turn your chant book to page 8, we will chant the Heart Sutra together, beginning with the title Maha Prajna Paramita Vidya Sutra. Maha Prajna Paramita Vidya Sutra. The Bodhisattva of great compassion, from the deep practice of Prajna Paramita, perceive the emptiness of all 5 skandhas, and deliver all beings from their suffering. O Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is emptiness, emptiness form. The same is true of feeling, thought, impulse,
consciousness. O Shariputra, all dharmas are empty. They are not born nor annihilated. They are not defiled nor immaculate. They do not increase nor decrease. So no emptiness, no form, no feeling, no thought, no impulse, no consciousness. No eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. No form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or objects of mind. No realm of sight. No realm of consciousness. No ignorance, nor extinction of ignorance. No old age and death, nor extinction of them. No suffering. No cause of suffering, no cease from suffering, no path to lead out of suffering, no knowledge, no attainment, no realization, for there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva holds on to nothing but prajna, paramita. Therefore, the mind is clear of any delusive hindrance. Without hindrance, there is no fear. Away from all perverted views, one reaches final nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future, through faith in prajna, paramita, attain to the highest perfect enlightenment. Know then the prajna, paramita, is the great Dharani, the radiant, fearless mantram, the utmost supreme mantram, which is capable of allaying all pain. This is true beyond all doubt. Proclaim now the highest wisdom, the prajna, paramita. Gate, gate, paragate, parasangate, bodhisattva. Gate, gate, paragate, parasangate, bodhisattva. Gate, gate, paragate, parasangate, bodhisattva. Dhamma, prajna, paramita, Vedaya, Sutra.
My name is Kunga Nyima. I am one of the Dharma teachers here at the temple. It's great to see so many of you joining us here on this Sunday morning. Am I speaking loud enough for the back row? No. Speak louder? Okay. How about now? Okay. I'll keep working on it. So my talk today is called The Paramita of Resolution, Adhittana. And I thought to start with, I sort of give you a sense of the context of where this paramita fits in with the other ones. And maybe if you're not familiar with the paramitas, what the other ones are like. So I've been listening to some YouTube videos from the Berkeley Buddhist temple. And whenever they give a talk, they always chant the whole sutra. They're going to talk about it together, and then they talk about it. And it's kind of interesting, because everybody sort of has a sense of the source material. So I wanted to do a similar type thing. So I handed out, or our greeter handed out the 10 transformational practices. So you may have gotten that. I hope I did enough copies for everyone. And what I thought I would do is that we could just recite this together to start the talk. And that'll give you a sense of where this Paramita of resolution, Adhittana, how it kind of fits in and what the Paramitas are about. So, and there's marks for bell strikes in here, but we're not going to be chanting it. We're just going to be reading it together. With one eye on this world and one on the next. Oh, and please, I'm sorry, I'll try and go slower. I'm going to start now. With one eye on this world and one on the next, and a third focused on the timeless dimension. Throughout this lifetime and all possible lifetimes, until enlightenment be achieved. May I unexhaustively endeavor in the Bodhisattva and follow the path of unconditional compassion and selfless altruism, so that all beings everywhere may be delivered and freed from the ravages of suffering and confusion, and reach the other shore, great peace, deathless nirvana. May I perfect the virtue of generosity, which brings contentment through liberating craving, grasping, and attachment. May I develop and accomplish the pure virtue of ethical self-discipline, which dries up the boiling river of greed, hatred, and delusion, and is a kindness to all. May I perfect the noble virtue of patience, which can be face naked reality, forgive, accept adversity, bear hardship, and turn it into an ally. May I perfect the noble virtue of enthusiastic effort and fearless perseverance, which heroically strives for the ultimate benefit of all. May I perfect the subtle virtue, concentration, and alert mindfulness, which clarifies heart and mind and allows awareness to drawn within. May I perfect the profound virtue of transcendental wisdom, knowledge, knows how things actually are and how they arise and operate. May I perfect the multifaceted virtue, skillful means, and resourcefulness, which makes all things possible and quickly accomplishes all that is wanted and needed. May I perfect the adamantine, unshakable resolve, determination, and inspired aspiration, which has universal scope and vision. May I perfect the radiant virtue of spiritual empowerment and positive influence, which accomplishes unselfish service and active love far beyond the limits of mortal beings. May I realize the supreme virtue of awakened awareness, which recognizes the innate purity and primordial perfection of all that is. May all that has been prayed for and here affirmed be realized and accomplished by one and all. Thank you. So these paramitas are very lofty aspirations, as you can tell from the from that chant that we just read. And the one I'm going to be focusing on today is down towards the end there, Adhittana, the Paramita of resolution. So in the chant, it's called the adamantine virtue of unshakable resolve, determination, and inspired aspiration. So I was thinking that this paramita is similar to the fourth one. And the fourth one here listed on here is called the enthusiastic effort and fearless perseverance. And one way to picture this, the Buddha often uses the example of a chariot. Like he talks about the Eightfold Path being spokes on a chariot wheel. So if we think of that image of a chariot, and we think of the horses that pull the chariot, we can think of that as the fourth paramita of enthusiastic effort. They're giving the energy for that chariot to go. And then we can think of resolution as like the reins on the horses. And if we don't have the right resolution, the horses just go crazy. They might run off a cliff or something. Or they might just, go around in circles with that energy, because having a lot of energy is really important. But if you don't direct it in the right way, it can cause problems for you. So the idea for today's talk came from my own practice. I have been reading some books about, deepening my meditation practice. And one of the things recommended was to really develop your aspirations during your practice. And so what I'm going to talk about today is I'm going to talk about Lojong a little bit, because Lojong really became the source for the aspirations that I use in my practice. And I'm also going to talk about this idea of resolution as it relates to these kind of higher aspirations that are in the Paramitas, and also how they can be used in more kind of down-to-earth ways to just help us with developing our meditation practice, in more concrete ways. And then the last thing I want to do today is, for our actual seated meditation, is I want to do like a guided meditation, and then introduce you. I'll be talking about the Lojongs during my talk, but I won't get through all of them. But during our meditation together, I'll introduce all of the Lojongs that I normally use in my meditation practice that are meant to develop this sort of aspiration for practices. Okay. So Lojong means mind training. It is a practice that we have been doing at the temple here ever since we stopped being part of the Taego Korean Zen order. And the Lojong slogans were developed over hundreds of years, and they're kind of like a distillation of the Buddha's teachings and the commentaries about the teachings. I think part of the idea was there are so many teachings and commentaries out there, it's really impossible for someone who's not a full-time monk to kind of be familiar with them all and then it's another thing to kind of actually put them into practice. And these Lojongs were put together by these Tibetan masters as a way to kind of like cut through all the fog and get right to the point, and like create a simple verse that you could apply to your everyday life. And an interesting thing about Lojong is that even though it's about training your mind, it's not so concerned about what's wrong with your mind. The focus is really on developing these good qualities. And the point is that you just keep developing the good ones, and you won't have any time to do the bad ones. They'll just disappear on themselves because you're not doing them, right? So I like that idea, kind of like a gentle kind of like, you don't have to confront your bad things. You just have to kind of do something else instead. So the first Lojong is pretty simple. It's called, well, there's 59 slogans, short slogans. And actually we have the verse that we chant, we do the bell chant. We did this probably in the spring. We did a bell chant about Lojong. They were a distillation of those 59 just to 10. So it was even a smaller number. But this is the first of the 59. It's called First Train in the Preliminaries. Okay, that's the whole slogan. First train in the preliminaries. So you do need a little background to kind of understand what's meant by the preliminaries. Okay. So the preliminaries really are the teachings of the Buddha that point out how lucky we are to have a human life, to pursue practice, and how brief that life is, and using those ideas as kind of a motivator. Okay. So I probably am just going to go through maybe 2 of these, and then I'll go to talking about how we can utilize meditation practice in our kind of everyday life on a more down-to-earth level. So the first Lojong, and these are on the back of your transformational practices sheet. So if you look at there, the practice of Lojong, that's what I'll be reading. Okay. So the first one is, I have wasted enough time. Why waste anymore? From now on, I will do something constructive and beneficial with my life instead of squandering it in meaningless activity. So for me, this one, I think about this in the context of my own life. I've only been practicing Buddhism for about 20 years. So there's like 35 years of kind of squandering going on there. Maybe not all squandering, right? But there was a lot of times that I was not my best person. I was, not very mindful of what I was doing. I was treating others in not very nice ways. I was selfish, and that's what it's talking about with this idea of wasted time. Basically they're talking about time not utilized to help promote our spiritual practice. And the idea of doing something constructive and beneficial with your life. Constructive means, looking at your mind, looking at how your mind works and thinking about how that relates to the suffering you have in your life. And then thinking about incorporating practices that can help reduce your own suffering and that of others. The second one, my life could easily have been different. I might have died in infancy, be suffering from grave physical or mental deficiencies, living in grinding poverty, or experiencing any of the things that are anathema to pursuing a spiritual life. I am truly fortunate indeed. So for me, it makes me think about like creating a list of all the things in my life that are really helping to support my practice. Number one, I'm alive. I didn't die in infancy, right? I'm here. I have relatively good health, I think. My health is not a barrier to me practicing. I work in hospice and I work with people at the end of life. And, even though people would prefer to just fall asleep and then not wake up, most of the time, the dying process involves, a period of a physical decline, becoming bedbound, having no energy, not even becoming so weak you can't even get out of bed. Maybe you become incontinent, so someone else has to change your briefs or your diapers. A lot of pain might be involved. And then you might be taking a lot of pain medicines. You might have a lot of sleepiness, and you might have constipation. That's like the opposite issue. So there's all these things that happen that are going on, you're dealing with. It's very hard to develop or study a spiritual practice at that time. So appreciating my own good health, is one of the things that helps me to motivate my practice. Other things are that, you could have been born with some type of severe physical or mental issue that's creating a lot of barriers to you practicing, in your life. Another thing is that just the fact that, I'm financially have enough, money to pay my bills. I don't have to worry about that. How difficult would it be to follow our spiritual practice if we didn't know where we were going to sleep tonight, if we were homeless, or we didn't know how the rent was going to be paid and we were worried about the electricity getting shut off, that types of things. So just using that information to tell yourself, yes, I'm in pretty good shape. I should practice. Kind of a motivator, right? So the rest of those there, I'm going to read those as part of the guided meditation. So now I want to switch over. We've been talking about the Buddhist teachings. We can think about this as the Buddhist teachings body. What are the spiritual teachings of the Buddha, and how can you use those to kind of direct our life in a general direction? But when it gets down to like nuts and bolts of how should we actually do something each day, how do we strategize so that our life, actually goes in the direction we want? We're thinking more about like maybe the Buddhist physical body. The Buddhist physical body is everything that we experience in our reality, everything that we hear, we see, we touch, we taste. Basically our everyday experience. That's the Buddhist physical body. So to use resolution in relation to the physical body is something that we're already familiar with, because we all make or maybe most of us make New Year's resolutions. Maybe all of us have heard about New Year's resolutions, right? New Year comes around, you decide you want to change something about your life. I'm not eating healthy enough, so I want to eat healthier, or I want to get more exercise. I want to be in better shape. A lot of times the New Year's resolutions are pretty vague, right? And a lot of times because of that, it's hard to achieve them. So what we can do is and the same with spiritual resolutions as well. If we think about our spiritual resolutions like, oh, I want to be a better Buddhist, or I want to be a better meditator. I want to meditate more often. I want to be enlightened. Those are great aspirations, right? But how do you actually accomplish that in a step-by-step fashion? Okay. So we can use something that I learned at work. It's called an acronym. It's called ACT: Achievable, Concrete, Time-Limited Goals, right? So that's what we have to do. It's pretty basic. So, for example, if I want to increase my meditation, right? Right now, maybe I meditate when I come here on Sundays, but I don't meditate the rest of the week. So I might be thinking, oh, I'd like to meditate, I'd like to be meditating 20 minutes a day. That's kind of recommended, or 20 minutes to an hour a day. Well, we have to think about setting a goal. 20 minutes is probably not achievable, to do that every day if you're not meditating but once a week. But maybe 5 minutes a day is achievable, okay? And then once we have like a more achievable goal, then we got to make it more concrete. Like, okay, when am I going to meditate? Like, I'm going to meditate when I wake up in the morning, first thing, as soon as I get out of bed, I'll just sit on the edge of the bed and I'll meditate. And then, how are we going to meditate, right? We could say, well, I'm going to meditate by counting my breaths. Breathe out and breathe in. That's one breath. I think I usually do it the opposite. Breathe in, breathe out. Start with 5, go down to 1, then repeat. If you lose count, go back to 5. And I'm going to do that for a week, right? So it's a time limited. So you're going to meditate every morning for 5 minutes on the bed, counting your breath from 5 to 1 for a week. That's a good goal. That's achievable, right? And then if after a week you look at it and say, well, that was easy. Maybe I can do 10 minutes, or that was too long. I need to cut back. Maybe every day is not for me. Or maybe the morning's not the best. So maybe I should do afternoon. And you're just going to make little changes to your goal, as you go on to work towards that higher aspiration. Okay. So I had a little quote that from the Dharmapada that I wanted to share. It says, "Let no one think lightly of good and say to themselves, 'Joy will not come to me.' Little by little, a person becomes good as the water pot is filled by drops of water." So what I'd like to do then for our meditation is to get a little bit more deeply into the Lojong. So, what I just described was the Buddha's physical body. We kind of set a particular time and place to meditate. So right now we're gonna sit here for 20 minutes. And invite you to sit on a cushion if you can. If you're sitting in a chair, sit up straight, feet flat on the floor. Try and keep your spine straight, good head and shoulders. And then the teaching that we're going to incorporate into the sitting is the Lojong practice. And now when I do this myself, and the way I'm going to read it to you, and I encourage you not to read along, just to kind of sit and practice, is I'm going to read each Lojong 3 times. Once for the Buddha, once for the Dharma, and once for the Sangha. Okay? And I know I talk and read fast, so I'm going to try and slow things down here to make it more meaningful for you. When we get to the last Lojong, we'll just sit quietly until the end. And then it'll be a little bit different than normal. After I do the 3 sounding of the bells to end the meditation, we have one more Lojong that I'll recite 3 times, which is kind of an aspiration for dedicating your practice to the benefit of all beings related to that. I have wasted enough time. Why waste anymore? From now on, I will do something constructive and beneficial with my life instead of squandering it in meaningless activity. I have wasted enough time. Why waste anymore? From now on, I will do something constructive and beneficial with my life instead of squandering it in meaningless activity. I have wasted enough time. Why waste anymore? From now on, I will do something constructive and beneficial with my life instead of squandering it in meaningless activity. My life could easily have been different. I might have died in infancy, be suffering from grave physical or mental deficiencies, living in grinding poverty, or experiencing any of the things that are anathema to pursuing a spiritual life. I am truly fortunate indeed. My life could easily have been different. I might have died in infancy, be suffering from grave physical or mental deficiencies, living in grinding poverty, or experiencing any of the things that are anathema to pursuing a spiritual life. I am truly fortunate indeed. My life could easily have been different. I might have died in infancy, be suffering from grave physical or mental deficiencies, living in grinding poverty, or experiencing any of the things that are anathema to pursuing a spiritual life. I am truly fortunate indeed. If even mountains are susceptible to change and dissolution, how much so is my body, which is subject to disease, breakdown, the elements, accidents, and all kinds of harm. I must utilize my opportunities now before this chance is lost forever. If even mountains are susceptible to change and dissolution, how much more so is my body, which is subject to disease, breakdown, the elements, accidents, and all kinds of harm. I must utilize my opportunity now before this chance is lost forever. If even mountains are susceptible to change and dissolution, how much more so is my body, which is subject to disease, breakdown, the elements, accidents, and all kinds of harm. I must utilize my opportunities now before this chance is lost forever. Most of my experiences are unpleasant because my mind is completely unruly and disturbed by conflicting emotions. Even when I imagine that I am having a good time, it is only a disguised form of pain. As temporal goals only satisfy temporary needs, I devote my life from this day forward to the spiritual path. Most of my experiences are unpleasant because my mind is completely unruly and disturbed by conflicting emotions. Even when I imagine that I am having a good time, it is only a disguised form of pain. As temporal goals only satisfy temporary needs, I devote my life from this day forward to the spiritual path. Most of my experiences are unpleasant because my mind is completely unruly and disturbed by conflicting emotions. Even when I imagine that I am having a good time, it is only a disguised form of pain. As temporal goals only satisfy temporary needs, I devote my life from this day forward to the spiritual path. My current suffering is due to the negative actions, activities, thoughts, and emotions that I performed in the past. And whatever I think, say, and do now will determine what I experience and become in the future. So from now on, I will understand the truth of karma and pursue my spiritual practices with enthusiasm and positive intention. My current suffering is due to the negative actions, activities, thoughts, and emotions that I performed in the past. And whatever I think, say, and do now will determine what I experience and become in the future. So from now on, I will understand the truth of karma and pursue my spiritual practices with enthusiasm and positive intention. My current suffering is due to the negative actions, activities, thoughts, and emotions that I performed in the past. And whatever I think, say, and do now will determine what I experience and become in the future. So from now on, I will understand the truth of karma and pursue my spiritual practices with enthusiasm and positive intentions. May what I am about to do yield beneficial results. May it give me the power to be of real benefit to others. May it help me overcome my defilements and delusions. May it clear the obstacles on the path. May it propel me towards a future state of enlightenment. May what I am about to do yield beneficial results. May it give me the power to be of real benefit to others. May it help me overcome my defilements and delusions. May it clear the obstacles on the path. May it propel me towards a future state of enlightenment. May what I am about to do yield beneficial results. May it give me the power to be of real benefit to others. May it help me overcome my defilements and delusions. May it clear the obstacles on the path. May it propel me towards a future state of enlightenment. And so maybe we could recite together number 7 on the practice of Lojongs, the very last one on the bottom there. And we'll just recite it one time. May whatever I have done, no matter how small, have ripple effects and influence the lives of other beings in a positive way, developing bodhicitta in their mind stream and freeing them from resentment, bitterness, hostility, and hatred. May they experience comfort and ease in the practice of love, compassion, joy, and equanimity. All right, so we have opportunity now for joys and concerns. We will have a mic going around. The mic is for people online. So if you're in here, you have to speak up because these mics aren't hooked up to any speakers here. And these joys and concerns are really a way for us as a Sangha to practice the 4 immeasurables: loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. Loving kindness is, wishing others be relieved for their suffering. Compassion, or actually maybe loving kindness is helping others have happiness. Compassion is helping their relief from suffering. Sympathetic joy is sharing in the happiness of others. And then equanimity, just that realization that life has ups and downs, and that we can, chart a middle way through that and not be thrown about, by our lives like that. Anybody, if you have a joy or concern, just raise your hand and Gaji-su will bring you the mic.
I'll break the ice since I have the mic anyways. I've got a joy and a concern. Hello, my name is Gaji-su. My joy is I was just diagnosed with ADHD officially, and I am on medication to help me live my life in a better and more meaningful way. My concern is my uncle just passed away totally unexpectedly. He was just at my birthday party just a week ago, and I got the news he suffered either from a heart attack or a stroke. And so hold that. I appreciate that.
I'd like to share a concern for a coworker of mine who discovered this week that her mother has cancer. And so Mike, please hold space for her mother and for my coworker at this time.
I'll share a concern. My mother-in-law, who's living in a dementia unit, been not doing very well. It's hard for her to talk on the phone. It's when my wife talked to her yesterday, her mother was asking to speak to Barbara. How's Barbara? And that's my mother-in-law. That's her name. She couldn't even remember her own name. She was so confused. So just for her, the joy is that she's in Florida now, and my brother-in-law is there, and he's really supporting her. He has a huge family. He's got 6 kids, and they're all married, and they got numerous children. They're visiting her frequently to kind of brighten her day. Thank you.
I have a joy and a concern. I'm going to share the joy first, so that I found a new employment opportunity that is going to offer me more time off, more opportunity to be at peace. Working in the healthcare field is hard, so finding a good place of employment is difficult. The concern is that my grandfather passed a couple weeks ago, and my grandma has dementia, so she doesn't know who he is. Really, no one wants to tell her. So my concern is that she's not getting the proper treatment that she really deserves for this situation, then that I hope she gets more love and concern for my family who are just trying to do their best for her. So as we all are. So it's very hard. So that's my life.
Enjoy the concerns online? No? Okay. All right. We'll do announcements. July announcements. There is a Grand Rapids Buddhist Temple Board meeting today from 11:30 to 1. Sangha members are invited to observe. Buddhist-based recovery meetings are Mondays at the temple. You can join via Zoom. Wednesdays at the Alano Club on 1020 College Avenue Northeast, and Fridays at Garfield Park, or join via Zoom. We have an ongoing online meditation group that meets on Wednesdays from 7:30 to 8:15. Join via Zoom, and I lead that group. So you can email me. The Zoom link to join the group is on the newsletter and on our website. You don't have to let me know you're coming. Just pop in on that day. We're doing a guided meditation, a guided breathing meditation right now. But if you email me in advance, then I can send you the guided meditation, so you'll be familiar with what we'll be saying during the group. Any other temple-related announcements? Oh, yes. So we do have a new preceptor program coming up. I was talking about resolutions today and aspirations, and that if you can participate in that program, it's really, it's concrete. It's time limited. It starts in September. It ends in December. 3 months long. You meet twice per month. And you also commit to coming to the temple every Sunday to help set up for service and then being here for services. So it's a very concrete commitment. And then through that program, we're going to focus on the 5 precepts, which are another aspiration, the aspiration of not to harm other beings, not to engage in sexual misconduct, not to lie, not to steal. Very important guidelines we can use for our life. We'll be also reading the Dhammapada, and during our grouply meetings, we'll be discussing our journals, because that's another part of the commitment is journaling. So that's it's a serious commitment. So anyone who hasn't done the precepts yet, and you've been coming to the temple for a bit now, or maybe you're relatively new to temple and you really just want to jump in and deepen your practice, that's a good way to do it.
And the prerequisite intro to meditation.
Oh, yes, sure. Yeah, so there's a prerequisite to take the intro to meditation class, which we will be offering in August. Is that right? And also, or you can get there by instructor permission. So for example, if you participate in our meditation group, that would be like getting, some experience in meditation. But if you already have a lot of meditation experience, just contact myself and we can discuss whether or not you need to take the introduction to meditation class or not. Okay. Thank you. Did I get it all, Fosi?
And the information is online.
Yeah, everything is online. It's all been updated.
Good morning, everyone. We're seeking volunteers for the tech team. The tech team produces the Zoom and YouTube live stream each Sunday. And despite the name tech team, you don't really need any special technical skills to be on the tech team. We'll train you on exactly what you need to do. So if you're interested in volunteering, please reach out to Reverend Kunga or any member of the tech team. John over here is our tech team lead. Will is also on the tech team, or myself. My name is Kent. Thank you.
Good morning, Sangha. My name is Ellen. Dana is a very important part of the practice. And Dana means generosity. There are many ways to be generous and practice that. Of course, one is donation to the temple. That also comes in many different forms. It could be monetary, it could be your time, it could be toilet paper, whatever the temple needs. The temple completely depends on the generosity of people. No one here at the temple is paid to do anything. That includes our teachers, our tech support, the person that washes the socks. Everything is comes to us through donation. So for monetary donation, we have Dana boxes right here at the temple, one on the other side of the curtain and one right back here. It's a black box. You can, when you are able and willing, you can put a check or cash in the box. There's also a QR code that you can scan, will take you right to PayPal. If you're watching YouTube this morning, there's a See More button that you push, and there's a drop down that will take you to a donate as well, PayPal. If you go to our website, zengr.org, there's a button there. Again, takes you to PayPal. At PayPal, you can make a single donation. You can also set it up to be monthly. You can change it or cancel it at any time. I think that's it. I miss anything?
Very
Jake,
good.
nothing? Got it. Cool.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and I just want to express my appreciation to the tech team. They do a really wonderful job. I mean, we are so organized. You can go on our website and you can see all the talks, since COVID on there, videos. And before that, there's audio recordings of talks going on and on. Thanks to all the people who showed up this morning to help set up. It was so nice to have all that assistance. Could really lets me focus on the talk a little bit more. And thank you for everyone who helps out, here on the board and providing that support as well, and just keeping the temple clean when we do that as well. A few announcements to make before we do the closing gathas. Please arrange and fluff your cushion and return the space the same way you found it. So cushion should be in the center. Your cushion, the zafu, which is the little round one, should be in the center of the zabuton, and it should be kind of centered and equally spaced with the other ones. Please return the chant books return the chant books to the front page. Place the incense offering and monthly chant in the back of the book, back in the book in the front, and hand off to someone who's collecting the books at the end. Okay. And then if you want to join us downstairs for tea and socialization, we invite you to do that as well. So I invite everyone to stand up and we'll do our closing gathas. I think these are on page 9 in our chant book. For all unskillful actions ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thoughts, now I atone for them all. Vast is the road of compassion, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Buddhist teachings for the benefit of all sentient beings. All beings, one body, I vow to liberate. Endless blind passion, I vow to uproot. Dharma gates without number, I vow to penetrate. The great way of Buddha, I vow to attain. And I invite the right side here to face toward the center and the left side to